Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk. Good morning. Hope you guys have a good day out there. Thanks for tuning in. I do appreciate your support of the channel as always. If you're looking for other ways to do so, you'll find those down in the description. All kinds of stuff down there you can do to support the channel. Anyway, here we are. Myself, Clan GFLC, and my Object 257. We are on Himmel's Redshire Dwarf Live Oaks. The anatomy of a Romple. Let's get to it. How do Romple starts? How do Romple stomps start? Or how do Romple starts stomp? Either way you want to look at it. You can start to learn the signs of these things, and the earlier you can figure it out, the better. I'm going to have an okay game here. I'm in my 257, which isn't very fast. I'm going to have a hard time getting damaged because this is a Romple stomp, and it accelerates as it goes, and it's like a tsunami. You see the water go out a little bit, and then maybe kind of a bit of a rush as it comes in, and then the big wave shows up. And once the big wave shows up, the enemy team just absolutely collapses. And I can already see that the water is receding away from the beach right now, a little bit further and a little bit faster than you might expect with a tide, and you got to be going, something is up. Now look at this train that we have going in here. We have, how many of us? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are no campers back there. We are all in, all together, pushing on what looks to be about 3, so far anyway, enemy tanks, with 1 dead. So we've already killed one of their tier 10s, trapped him out in the pit, and we're headed towards these other 2. We don't have a problem on the other flank right now. So let's just go a little bit further in the anatomy of this Romple stomp. You can already start to sense it, and you do have to be careful because we're still about the same hit points, so you don't want to just go YOLOing in and dying. But you do want to continue to put the pressure on, and don't let tanks get away if you can help it. The 430 and the 430, you are in big trouble. They don't appear to have any friends back there. Guys have poked. There's nobody up on the flats doing the hold down thing. There appears to only be 2 of them in here. There may very well be some guys back there, but they're in huge trouble. And then here we come. Look at this nom nom nom. This is like Pac-Man right here. There is a guy coming from every angle just about on these 2, at least the angles we can get to. And we're just going to come in here and absolutely roll these guys up. I get a little bit of damage there, run into him, try to get off there, and now let's pause again and look at it. Normally, when you win a flank this fast, this hard, the other one's probably having trouble, but I don't see it yet. So I would typically tell people, all right, right here, stop, quit pushing, go back. But let's take a look at what we got. The JT is over there in the middle, right? At C6. He's the guy I would be really worried about being in that bush back here. Get the mouse on the recording there. He's not there. So there may still yet be some, but if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it looks like one's included. 6 tanks accounted for, 3 dead, that's 9. One's an EBR, who cares? There's maybe 5 or 6 tanks back there. Maybe. And we have a good crowd coming in. So a slight pause, and now you can see guys have their pedal to the metal, right? The foot is on the pedal. There goes the 50-51. I'm kind of waiting. Is he going to disintegrate? Doesn't appear to be. Doesn't appear to be. So now we have a case of let's just keep pushing in on these guys. I'm going to go low with the 66. He does, Progetto 66. He does take a hit, but not a big one. 261 hit points. Let's pause it. The Sturv, another one we're worried about. He's also over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tanks. 10, 11, 12, 13. That's 13 of them accounted for. That means there's only 1 or 2 back here trying to stop this push. The rest of our guys have actually gone up and over the tracks into good positions. All of those players realize it. I looked at the skill level on this team. That's another part of the Romple, unfortunately. This was a highly skilled team overall. And every one of them saw it at the same time. The only reason I'm not getting hit points in here is I'm not fast enough. I'm not fast enough. I'm trying to get in there. I want to get some shots, but I'm in a slow 257. In the kind of slow, brawly fight that a 257 excels in just didn't happen. So you got to start to watch for these things and try to take advantage of them as much as possible. And now it is just an absolute swarm. They are down 6-0. They're down 10,000 hit points. I see people in these cases sort of sit back and try to figure out what's going on. This one is extremely obvious, so I wanted to show this to you guys because I think it is instructive to see the very obvious ones, because then when the more nuanced ones show up, you at least have a baseline for what these things look like. So I take a hit from the 277. Actually, don't take any damage. I just take a bounce. Push over here and try to get onto the A column over, or the A row over here, and see if I can get some shots down the line. Still, I don't want to walk right into them and get annihilated, but at the same time, I do want to go ahead and keep pushing and get shots. I think I get a bounce off that guy. So we'll get some heat going on, and now he's in big trouble. He's just trying to back out of this thing. Take another shot here, thinking about getting into the turret. There we go. We'll get a little bit more damage off him, 368. And I think that's the extent of my damage, 1277. I just don't make it into the last swarm. So you can see the mediums have all kind of piled up right here. They're trying to push in. Being the Progetto 66, the guys in town were doing fine. So as I was watching this whole thing develop, I was keeping an eagle eye on the northwest. If that fell, if they happened to have sent more tanks into there and beat our guys, yeah, you might have to go back. Or you may have to work yourself across the middle if you've beat the guys around their cap. That just didn't happen right here. So this is a great, very straightforward example of the Romple Stomp. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the reasons for this. The biggest reason this happens is they lose a bunch of tanks early and they don't hold or contest the critical terrain. That's what it is. And I know a lot of you sitting in there going, well, no, Guido, that's BS. The biggest reason is skill. No, it doesn't matter what your skill level is. If you don't go to the right place and try to do the right things, then this is the kind of thing that happens. Now, yes, lower skill players may not do that, but everybody has a choice when you start. Whatever your skill level is, you have a choice of where to go. And that may have something to do with skill, but that's really more knowledge, and that's pretty much, I would say, than skill. For whatever the reason is, though, whether it's knowledge, skill, had a bad day, don't like the teams, wasn't in the tank I thought was the right thing to do it in, whatever it is, they didn't contest correctly the critical terrain of the tracks. And we were able to hold the city long enough that the tracks came around. And once you start to lose in a game with permadeath, there's nobody coming back, you can't get your hit points back. Every gun you lose, every hit point you lose more than the other team, it starts the snowball effect. And there's all kinds of documentation and studies on how this works, both in real-world military and gaming, in game design, in game tech, game design, all that kind of stuff. So you can look all of that up. It's very well documented. It's mathematical. It becomes harder and harder to come back the more and more tanks you lose. And when you get to a situation like this, there really is no way, aside from a server crash and most of us stop moving, that this team is going to come back from this. You can have epic comebacks, but really with, we haven't lost one, 15-6. Possible, very improbable, basically. And it's a game design thing. There's a lot of stuff that gets you to here. You know, an RNG roll where someone gets ammo racked in an important tank and they explode in the first shot, and you're down that important tank at the important spot. That can then be leveraged, and the Romple can start from that. Just as one example, and there's many like that. A series of good RNG shots, a series of bad RNG shots from the other team, getting some wicked bounces or a couple shots into the ground or whatever at critical times, losing that critical tank because of it, and then the snowball starts to begin. You can have a fairly even fight for a while, get it down to 10v10, and then one team loses a couple 3 or 4 low hit point guys, and then the collapse begins. So that's what you're looking for in these Romple Stomp situations in order to follow up on it, or to pay attention if it's happening to you, in order to get out of that situation and try to farm if that's what you're looking for, or potentially fall back and defend and maybe turn it back into an advantage by whittling away the hit points, as opposed to looking at it and saying, well, it's a Romple Stomp, I'll just die in place right here. That is something I've worked on a lot with guys as we've been doing the coaching thing. Consistency basically revolves around being able to see these situations start, whether they're very obvious like this or whether they're more nuanced like most other games would be, most other matches. These happen often, but they're not every match. And being able to react to that both offensively, like I am doing right here, and defensively in order to fall back and have a position to go to in order to get a little bit more damage out of that game. And that's where you get that average DPG going up because you stop dying in place. Even though you went to the good spot, you notice that your team just isn't performing and it's time to get out and try to live for a little bit longer, get another shot in, another 2 shots, another 3 shots. So the anatomy of a Romple, guys, this is just something that exists in this game. There are probably ways that they can try to mitigate this, but because of the way this game is designed, with the RNG, with the 15v15, the permadeath, you're not getting any tanks back, there's no respawns. This is a kind of game that you will have. Now we can argue about should we have as many, should they be as bad, okay, and maybe I'm really starting to kind of come to a little bit of the side of skill-based matchmaking. I know there's a lot of grenades in that discussion. There's several ways to do it, some good, some bad. It may be time to start looking at some of that. I think, though, that really, aside from the skill piece, it's a little bit more about balancing the tanks, potentially, which they've been working on the matchmaker. I think the matchmaker now is about as good as it's ever been, to be honest with you. It could always use some tweaking. There's some cases where you get these mismatches in, say, EBRs or things like that. But this kind of result is just something you're going to have with the way this game is designed. All right, that doesn't mean we can't make it better, potentially. But don't get too mad when you see some of these, because that's how it happens. All right, appreciate you guys coming by. Let me know what you think down below, because I know there's many and varied opinions about this in this game, especially when you get into the skill-based matchmaking arguments. I think we can have a constructive, civil discussion down there about it, so let's not start slinging mud or name-calling or anything like that. No baddies, no uniscums, all the names that we chuck around out there. I think you can do that. All right, cool. That's all I've got. Have a good one. We'll see you.